Hi, I'm Nan Simonson, and I posted a notation that I was going to have my Facebook Live today at 2 Pacific Standard Time, and it was framed by the question, are you in love? In love with your food? That question, that emotion, the thought was precipitated by events that actually repeat themselves on a weekly basis. And what I mean by that is our sacred Sunday. And I wish I could say sacred, meaning we go to church every Sunday and are involved in a group like that, but that's not what we do. On Sunday, we go to, and we would do it on Saturday, but it's the Seventh day Adventist store and restaurant. We go on Sunday to a place here in Riverside, California, about 60 miles east of Los Angeles, to it's really a window. And then they have dining outside, eating outside, and eating inside, but not with the Omicron going on. Uh, and it is a whole food, mostly almost everything, not everything, made from scratch. All their marvelous sauces and the pico de gallo and all of their proteins. And their proteins include jackfruit based protein. Their carnitas are made with the soy isolates. We don't do that, so we don't have that. We always get the same thing, which is their tofu. So let me back up. So on Sunday, we have a tradition. We go to Oasis in the La Sierra Whole Foods Market. The window is outside. You can dine inside when it's not a pandemic situation. And we order in advance, get there in time to pick up our huge tray of food. Always get the same thing, a double taco meal with a side of mushrooms and a side of grilled vegetables. And we each get a big plate of roasted potatoes. We look like pigs, but that's how we're able to eat because we are going on 4 years of whole food, plant-based, very low oil, low salt, no refined sugar. And we are able to eat because it's mainly fiber and water in these foods. A lot of food, a lot of flavor. So we get our big tray, and as we're eating, and this is getting, I could say this is getting old because we've been doing this now since we discovered Oasis, and I'm talking to you on February 1st of 2022. I met my husband 2 years after the death of my late husband of 40 years, in the month of February 10 years ago. So we're going on 10 years no, that's not true, of Oasis. That's not true because we became whole food plant-based going on 4 years now. So when we discovered Oasis, and we discovered it through Happy Cow, gotta have the app Happy Cow. You can use it anywhere in the world, and it brings up vegan and vegetarian restaurants and has their menu, and from wherever you are, your location, you get the closest to you. So anyway, found them that way. And we've gone every Sunday that we're in town, every Sunday we can, except maybe an Easter Sunday. And we get the same thing because we've experimented and just love that taco meal, and then the side of roasted vegetables, the side of roasted mushrooms. They're actually dry grilled, and it's the taco is the strips of grilled, seasoned, marvelously flavorful tofu, and then a citrus slaw on that, and then a aioli of and aioli is normally a really fatty kind of a sauce, but this is silken tofu with turmeric and garlic, and so flavorful, drizzled over the top, so this bright yellow sauce. I hope I'm making you hungry, because I guess that's part of my point, that I love what I eat. I love my food. And at 71, you take off these 3 years of being whole food plant based, and That means that for, what is that, 67 years, I've eaten, oh, well, always loved plants, always loved fruits, vegetables, and salad. Always knew to go to those foods. But I was shackled, and you've heard me say this before, with an eating disorder that uh, was the bane of my existence because it was a secret. Not my closest friends, no one but my late husband knew. And so they would all think I was just so together, and I don't even want to say what I was doing in secret. That's how I got through stress or whatever. I'm didn't mean to go there. So I know food and I know good food, but there was always a tension with food. The tension being, am I going to eat too much? Is it going to make me too fat? Is it going to make me healthy? They say to stay away from this. It's a carcinogen and that. In other words, I wrestled with food. I feel as free as a bird as it relates to food now. I don't weigh, I don't measure. I am leaner than I was then. So it certainly, with the, what, 70 to 75% of my diet in carbohydrates, those foods I used to stay away from and highly fear, because after all, don't carbs make you fat? Refined carbs can ruin you. Whole food plant-based carbs, what are they? Fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes, um, tubers like sweet potatoes, and you pile those on with a lot of vegetables like that meal I'm talking about, the tortilla shell, and they're just a soft tortilla with this marvelous tofu that's grilled, and it could have been the carnitas. They even serve eggs because they're vegetarian as opposed to strictly vegan. We don't do that, but some people do. And so they have a number of protein options. And so you just choose everything. I'll take that protein on the taco, or it could be the burger, or it could be the bowl. Um, I'll take that on the, for the protein source. I'll take that for flavoring. I'll take these as sides. And so it's really fun. Extra pico de gallo, extra jalapenos. And, you know, it's just fun and marvelous. But go back to what I was saying. I've never felt as connected in appreciation and freedom in food as I do with a whole food plant-based diet. Because if I'm eating whole food plant-based, now I'm saying vegan, but I'm not using that word because vegan simply means no animal product. And you've heard me say this before, that could be a Coke, it could be a Slurpee, and it could be Oreos. And those are pure junk. But whole food, meaning as close to nature as possible, is bound by fiber and water and nutrients in every bite, in almost every vegetable you can eat. So the foods that I'm talking about are the foods that improve our body, improve our neurotransmitter system, improve our microbiome, improve our organs. Every bite that we take improve our health. So we get home then, well, no, we don't get home at that point. Then we stop by a place called the Caroni Family Farms. It's about 15 acres, all farmed, no spraying, and they bring in produce every day, big giant tent, and I'm going to see if I can attach some photos I took last Sunday, because there we have this great meal, and all through the meal we're saying to ourselves and to each other, I don't want to finish, this is so good, oh this is so good, and we're just swooning over these flavors, because there are multiple flavors when you're eating plants, multiple. It's not just one chewy leg or thigh or side of something. It's multi-flavored without even adding seasonings, but then the seasonings can make it really fun. And then we go to the family farms tent and buy a massive produce that we then bring home and prep, like cleaning the radishes and the carrots and the tiny little baby turnips and the the beets and the lettuce greens and the kale and getting everything kind of put together. And we feel so celebratory because the food is amazing. The strawberries are out now, big, beautiful sweet strawberries. And we eat a basket of those because they'll never be as good as they are that day because they came out of the farm. When we were there, they were actually coming in from the fields bringing more strawberries. So, can you see how excited I get about food? But I have no fear of it. I don't have to worry about how much I eat. I eat when I'm hungry. I stop when I'm full. I eat what I want of whole foods that are plant based, mainly 600 calories or less per pound. Now that's called caloric density. You can look that up because the way it works is, and this is all in generality, in general, uh, your vegetables and greens are under or about 100 125 calories. Your fruit is around 250. Your um, uh, the starchy vegetables are around 3, or potatoes around 350 a pound. How many pounds can you eat of those things? Your grains are about 5, your legumes are about 6, and then that's what I call the red line. And if we eat 3, 4, 5 pounds of food a day, and that food is somewhere left of that red line, 600 calories or less, and so we're getting our legumes, but then you're getting all the rest, you're probably going to be averaging around what, 450 a pound. You can eat a lot of food, lots of pounds of food. If you add the rest of whole food plant based, that is, I'll call it an accessory, but a really nice one, the seeds and the nuts and the avocado and some coconut, but coconut attached, not coconut oil. Then you've got these flavorings that add that much more to it. And my quest, and my husband feels the same way, is to be in love with what we eat. I work with groups in the health field. I'm a integrative nutrition, health, and lifestyle coach. I work with a lifestyle medical family practice, and we have group meetings. And somebody was saying this morning in one of our group meetings that she wants to not just eat food because it's healthy, but eat it because she loves it. And that's what I feel our goal is all the time with whole food plant-based diet, with eating, staying away from too much of the nuts and seeds unless, well, like my husband, he can eat pretty much anything he wants anytime because he doesn't put on weight. But if I pound down a lot of nuts, I'll have a handful a day, but if I have too many, it just adds up too fast because nuts are like, what, 1,400 calories a pound. So you kind of watch that stuff. So what I'm trying to say is that whole foods that are plant-based are varied, they're fragrant, they're delicious. We neuroadapt to their flavors only when we start cutting out the highly processed fake food. Well, what, 65% of what most Americans eat and then up from there is processed food. That means they take the essence of a thing, they strip out the fiber, strip out the protein, strip out the nourishment, make it shelf stable, combine it with a bunch of oil, sugar, salt, and some other flavorings, call it by that original food's name, and then serve it up as a thing, as a hamburger with cheese and mayo, or as even if it's vegan, plant-based, they serve it up as a healthy alternative when in some cases it's simply a lot more refined food. Better for you than the animal-based products because animal foods are inflammatory. There are, between the saturated fat and the acids in the animal proteins and the amount of damage that they do to our body when they go in, we get protein from our meat. And you'll look at that. I was just looking at a chart today of the most nutritious foods on the planet listed in order. And the highest per calorie density in nutrition is leafy greens, always leafy greens, and then your cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts, and then um, just on and on through the vegetables, and then your fruits and your potatoes, especially the sweet potatoes, and on and on and on. Meat's way down there, like at about number 34. And what does meat give you? Because then there's a list of the main things you get from it. Most animal products will give us fat and protein. We get more protein than we need from those products. And Dr. T. Colin Campbell showed us way back in the 60s and 70s that the excess animal protein was tied to higher rates of cancers and all-cause mortality. So we're not doing ourselves a favor by sticking with the animal foods, and we're doing ourselves a huge service by going more plant-centered. I have people who will say to me, I can't give up my whatever that meat product is. So have those, but add a lot more plant-based nutrition, because you can have a highly damaging, very fatty, seared to blackness, which then you've got the acrylamides going, which is a proven carcinogen. Big piece of meat, pound that down, you've got all this stuff, this inflammation that your body suddenly sends out to try to mitigate the TMAO, the insulin-like growth factor, all of which is stimulated by these animal proteins. But if you put in there some antioxidants and polyphenols and carotenoids, you at least calm some of that down. So I say to people, do what you're going to do, but add more of the foods that will heal your body. And then I'll say to people, and just keep finding the foods you love in the plant-based space, because you may get to a point, I didn't know we would get there, we just decided through research that the best diet for human beings is a plant-based diet, and we switched 3 years ago. It took a while to make it exclusive, but we ultimately did it. And even then, after 4 or 5 months, we were on a cruise, and we had one night where we just ate everything that they had on a buffet. It didn't matter what it was. Didn't feel good the next day, but we did it anyway, and there was no shame or blame. It was just what it was. But what we have found is that we are healthier now than we have been in decades as adults, in terms of all those markers of inflammation. So what I'm saying is about love. Find the foods that you love without guilt. If you're eating foods that are inflammatory, you know it. You know what the American Cancer Society says about red meat. You know what it says about processed foods. Those are all connected to cancer and all-cause mortality and inflammation and even diabetes. Some people believe that diabetes is impossible on, for example, the keto diet. Well, I tried the keto diet, and that's when my cholesterol went sky high, cardiovascular disease was creeping in, rheumatoid arthritis started rearing its ugly head, and the antibodies were sky high, and I was pre-diabetic, all under keto with nothing but meat and fat and avoiding those dangerous carbohydrates. And then I learned that's not the way to find long-term health. So what I'm saying is, if you find the foods that you love and the foods that love you back, you have the best thing going. And that's how I felt last Sunday. We had the best lunch. We had gotten these gorgeous vegetables from the farm store, and fruit, and we were putting them up for the week because we knew that that's what our meals were going to be. And I kept saying, I love these foods and I love my meals. And that evening we had a Swiss chard cream soup that was divine. And it was Swiss chard, some spinach, and some vegetable broth, but some secret ingredients, not so secret, but things that really made the difference. I'll be posting that recipe. Watch for it. Creamy greens soup. And both of us again said the same thing. We couldn't like food any more than we do this. And this food loves us back because we're going to keep getting older and get stronger. By nature, that doesn't really happen because about every 7 years, most of our cells turn over. Not all of them, not all of our brain cells, and I believe the heart. But our cells turn over about every seven, is it 7 months or 7 years? Shoot. Huh. Well, shame on me, Nan. Anyway, my point being that we are always being regenerated. That's part of nature, but our DNA doesn't come back as strong each time. The DNA that comes back on this in the new cells is weaker than the old DNA, and eventually it just becomes so weak that we get old and that's the end of it. Our bodies just won't keep going. But the food we eat makes a difference with all of that. Let me make sure that I've got what I wanted to say. So ask yourself, do you love the food that loves you back, that isn't causing damage to your organs, that isn't making most of America sick? Obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer, stroke, the joint problems that are very much based on inflammation. At 71, I have no joint problems. At 67, I could barely pick up a pencil if I dropped it. There is such a big difference when you're giving your body what it needs. And then the people that we admire, the people who are brilliant in their field. For example, the Sherzais, who have their own department at Loma Linda University, 2 neuroscientists who are physicians. The Alzheimer's solution they wrote as they were researching what can keep our brains stronger. They came up with whole food plant-based. Their family went whole food plant-based. She also just recently, they came out with this cookbook, 30-Day Alzheimer's Solution. And you can't get better food than whole food plant-based, just like you would have with the more inflammatory foods, but without having to use any animal product. Nothing has to die for it or be kept in a cage or penned up or slaughtered. And more important, not more important, and your body loves you for it. Gastroenterologist Will Bolshevitz, Dr. Bolshevitz, fiber fueled, proved that a plant-based diet is by far the most healthy for our bodies. Simon Hill, a nutritional scientist, just wrote in proof, or the proof is in the plants, how science shows that plant-based diet could save your life and the planet. And there's my book, and my book is simply my story. It's the story how I went through an eating disorder, how I found a whole food plant-based diet, how it changed everything, and how I recommend, based on my experience in lifestyle medicine, the modalities all broken down by the letters of Powerfully that can change our health for the better in the long run and put decades on our life. Decades. Okay. Just recently, the Eat Lancet Commission of Global Health came out with the Diet for a Healthy Planet. And they have a disc with percentages of food possibilities to create a overall dietary plan, and they put a couple of slivers because probably they must. I would love to say that the planet will, because they could go whole food plant-based, but it's not going to happen. But if we can move that needle to far less animal product and far more of these products, that the foods that make us healthy, our entire economy would benefit, our population would benefit, the animals would benefit, and there would still be enough for people to feel that they weren't giving up too much. And the Lancet the Lancet study basically said, meat if you must, and put that in there as well. Okay, I think that's about all I want to say. This is the year, or sorry, the month of love. It's Valentine's month. And if you're going to love something, love, first of all, other people. Agape. Find that we can find enough in other people that we can love everybody, even those who are making it rather hard. Find what we can so that we can embrace those around us on our planet. Love yourself. Love yourself enough to be able to then give love to others, but also understand that yourself, that person you are, is packaged in a body, and that body needs love. And that body, like a good car that is fed the perfect ingredients to stay that way, our body would love to be fueled by plant foods, because those are grown, taking up the sun, giving you every phytonutrient and all the protein you need, and they'll take care of you longer than anything else you can eat. No regrets, no rationalizing, nothing has to die with that kind of diet. And in this month of love, ask yourself, am I in love with my food? No guilt, no recrimination, no worry about what it's doing to our body. A lot of people will talk about what they ate and said, oh, I know I shouldn't. You don't have to. You can neuroadapt to these foods and love every single bite and be dancing on the wind. You feel so good. I promise. I think that's going to be it. I'll be back to you before Valentine's Day, but I was going to say enjoy this month. See it as the month that we can all stretch a little bit and take better care of everything, including ourselves and our bodies and the planet. And I hope you're going to have a great day, because I know I'm going to. Thank you for watching. Let people know about aging powerfully and the power agers, because we're a group of people that, if we can pass on our message to enough people, can make a difference in the health of those around us, because we're going in the wrong way. Take care. Bye-bye.